Mental health, mateship, and real conversation. Fraser Coast Mates has become a powerful voice supporting suicide and prevention in our region. And tonight, we're joined by Darren Bosley, who's helping turn concerns into community action. Get ready for an honest, emotional, and inspiring conversation about what it truly means to be there for each other. How important is mateship in today's world?
I value it highly. That's one of the great things about where we got the name Fraser Coast Mates. It was about mateship. It was about that, that old Australian tradition of mateship. And
why do you think more and more men are suffering today?
There's lots of theories around it. I'm a believer there's a generational issue. I think as generations we've sort of been taught to toughen up, don't cry.
What is the hardest phone call that you ever received?
Yeah, look, that phone call was tough. When I look back at my life, I think the toughest call is when you lose a mate. It was 10 years ago, our mate Jeff. It's unfortunately a too typical story of he's the loudest one in the room, the most energetic, upbeat, the one you want at a party. My last conversation with my mate Jeff was a couple of weeks before. I always remember I rang him and asked him the question, "Are you okay?" This is probably something I haven't talked about a lot. I thought there was something wrong at a luncheon we're at, so I thought I'm just going to ring him in the morning and say, "Are you okay?" Rarely did that in the past. And he said, "Yeah, I'm fine, boss." Yeah, okay. He said, "I'm fine." And I went, "Okay, sure, yeah, no worries." He was at the kids' rugby, all good, no worries. Now, there'd be part of me that just kicks myself saying, why didn't you see the signs? But unfortunately, men are not very good at showing the signs.
Yeah. All right, Darren, welcome to Studio 9 podcast.
Thanks for having me.
Hey, Darren, let's get started on what is Fraser Coast Mates?
Fraser Coast Mates is about, our objective is, first of all, if anyone needs urgent help or a counsellor, we can get them in front of a counsellor within 72 hours and we cover the costs. But our other objective is about creating a greater awareness about mental health and what that is. So while we're really happy with the support that we give people in terms of connecting them with a counsellor and someone to talk to, we're also very focused on the content and making our community a better understanding what mental health is.
Yeah. Now, you mentioned earlier that so it's 10 years in making.
Yeah.
You're focusing more on men, female mental health, and you got programs pretty much going on men and female. Is that correct? So counseling is both for men and female.
Yeah. Look, when we started 10 years ago, it was all about men's mental health because that's the biggest issue. 75% of suicides are men. But we learned after a number of years that there's another scary statistic that 75%, more women attempt than men. So we got really clear feedback from a lot of the ladies in a local community that they were looking for some help. And, today 65% of people that we help through counselling are females. So they definitely are reaching out and probably are a little bit more proactive that we know the issue that men aren't the best ones to speak up and seek that support.
Yeah. And as I think it's like, is it 250 members in your so far?
Well, we don't really have a membership base as such. So we have people that really support us through events and our fundraising exercises. But our Harvey Bay Golf Day, which is just unbelievable. This year in our 10th year, we had 225 golfers, another 170 ladies at the luncheon. We had another 30 to 40 volunteers on the day. So that's a big day. That's, well over 400 people.
And it's completely run by volunteers.
Yes, it is. Yeah. Yep. Yep. It's just our committee today is just made up of people that have all had their own experiences with mental health, and we're not unlike anyone else in the community. We still face those challenges, and but everyone has their own deep connection to it that really drives them, and you can see it. That this for 10 years we had a great group of men that got us started, and a couple of ladies as well, and now that foundation that they've set has really been taken on by this current committee that's been in place for nearly 7 years. That are just very driven people.
Yeah. How did Fraser Coast Mate it all started?
Yeah. It was 10 years ago. Our mate Jeff. It's unfortunately a too typical story of he's the loudest one in the room, the most energetic, upbeat, the one you want at a party, and then he's left a wife and 2 boys behind, and you just don't know why. And so the day after we got together down at Aquaview and just sat around, a group of men just sat around asking those questions of why didn't we see the signs? Did anybody know? All those sort of things. And then we start getting questions of, well, who do you call? So what do you do if you're not feeling well? And how do you know if you're not feeling well? And all those just really simple questions that was the formation of Fraser Coast Mates. That's how it all came together. And we just sort of went away from that day saying, well, let's try and make something positive out of a bad situation. Yeah.
So it's the Fraser Coast Mates came about seeing a mate going, few mates came together.
Yeah.
Let's help other mates.
Yeah.
Pretty
Yep.
much.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the story where and you guys are there from day dot when it started.
Yeah.
Much.
Yeah. I'm part of the original committee. But those exact words, as you said, is what drives us, or drives me personally, is that I don't want it to happen to another mate. Yeah. Now, whether we can hold that line, I'm not sure, but I just don't want this to happen to anybody else. And I saw the impact on Jeff's family. I've seen the impact on the community, and probably the thing I wasn't preparing myself for when we undertook this. It's a journey. Is I didn't realise the enormity of this in the community. So when we started holding our events, our very first golf day, and then we were starting to hold other events, and the stories that were coming forward and the people that were coming forward and their emotional connection to it, because it may not be them, but they've had a family member, or it was just the stories that come out that you just it was. Yeah, that's the thing that just surprised me initially, was the enormity in the community. Yeah.
What is the hardest phone call that you ever received?
Yeah, look, I mean, that phone call was tough. When I look back in my life, I think the toughest call is when you lose a mate. Yeah, that's, and there's been a few. When I was younger, well, back in my sort of Adelaide life, I was very connected with some sporting clubs. Like, I had just some great friends, and particularly the Southern Districts Baseball Club. I just grew up as a kid, and I remember the day I found out one of my baseball heroes, a guy I got to play with, I found out he'd passed away. That was really tough. That was, and then others along the way. It's not easy to get that phone call that you've lost someone that it's your hero, it's your mentor, it's your loved one, it's a family member. It's none of those calls are nice.
What's something you never spoken publicly about before?
Oh God, I talk about everything, so I don't think I've ever hidden anything. I think, it's a hard one to answer. Like, I instantly think of family. Like my girls are my world. I love them to death. I'm so proud of them, but it's not easy growing up as a kid in today's society. So I think as families, it's you tend to sort of keep it all within and deal with it yourself, and so I don't know. I don't think I've hidden anything from anyone really.
How do you cope up with your mental health?
Yeah. This journey has made me better equipped. Because when I look back, I'm very fortunate. I've never had real lows, but I'm convinced everybody has to deal with their mental health. Now, whatever that extremity or highs or lows, everybody has to deal with it. And I look back prior to this experience with Fraser Coast Mates, and there's some times there I didn't realise I was at a low. But I'm fortunate that I've had some things in my life that I've had good family, good support around me, good mates, and I think that really holds you in good stead. And so, we talk about going to the gym. Well, my day starts. I have to go to the gym in the morning. Now, people won't believe it when they see me. They think, "Oh, well, he doesn't exercise," but exercise has to be part of my day.
Yeah,
and that if I can get that first hour in for the day and do that, I'm off to a good start. And then, it's just all the simple things that you think's not doesn't need to be done, but exercise, eat properly, moderate your alcohol intake, all those obvious things that they say, I'm convinced helps your mental health. I saw Jeff Kenner as a gentleman who is the Premier of Victoria, and I saw him spoke at Beyond Blue once, and he says the first thing he recommends to someone is go walking 3 times a week. That's what he recommends. That's the first thing to do, and other things such as GP and all those sort of things. But so I'm convinced exercise got to be part of your routine.
Yeah, so it's more like a de-stressing out, so
Yeah.
Even going on a Saturday night with a couple of mates, but not drinking, going crazily, but saying, let's go out for a dinner and have a chat.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know?
I've always had really good mates in my life.
Yeah.
My best mate, we've been mates for 50 years. 50 years this year. He was my best man. I was his best man. We talk every week on the phone, sometimes twice a week. I value that friendship, and I value those friends in my life. I've learned I don't need hundreds. I just need those few that I can talk to, and that's really important to me.
Yeah. Why do you think more and more men are suffering today?
There's lots of theories around it. I'm a believer there's a generational issue. I think as generations, we've sort of been taught to toughen up, don't cry, all that sort of thing. And so, you can easily pass that on to your next generation, your kids. But this journey's changed me as a parent. And fortunately, that education and that learnings I had, I definitely pass that on to my girls. And they're very good with talking about mental health. Men, I just think... I think we're accustomed just to walk around, and particularly in a business sense, when someone goes, "How are you going?" "Oh, really good." "Yeah, great. Business great." "Yeah, sure. Yeah, I mean, no, it is. Business is great." So we're accustomed as men to tell everybody we're great.
Yeah.
And I know I'm jumping around, but it's that question when that question I found very hard to ask in the early days of, "Are you okay?"
Yeah.
Because what if they said I'm not? No, I'm not. How do you answer?
Yeah,
what do you do then? And a lot of people go, "Oh, I know what to do," but try it one day when someone turns around and goes, "No, I'm not okay. Yeah, I'm really struggling."
Yeah.
And it can, that first time you hear that can floor you a little bit.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Like, not a lot of people actually say, "I'm not okay," even if they're not okay.
Yeah, because you're accustomed to saying, "I'm good.
Yeah,
I'm fine."
because I think they're worried that what the other person's going to think about them.
Yeah, look, my last conversation with my mate Jeff was a couple of weeks before, and I always remember him. I rang him and asked him the question, "Are you okay?" This is probably something I haven't talked about a lot in public, but I thought there was something wrong at a luncheon we're at, so I thought I'm just going to ring him in the morning and say, "Are you okay?" Never rarely did that in the past. And he said, "Yeah, I'm fine, boss." Yeah.
Okay.
He said, "I'm fine." And I went, "Okay, sure. Yeah, all good. Yeah, no worries." He was at the kids' rugby, all good, no worries. Now, there'd be part of me that just kicks myself. So, why didn't you see the signs? But unfortunately, men are not very good at showing the signs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think are more and more men opening up now?
I think we're creating a society where we're allowing for it. We are encouraging it. We're still a long way to go. So, as men, we don't sit around a dinner table asking how our mental health are or how we're going. And, we all want to tell each other how great we are in life and business and everything else. Whereas the ladies have more open conversations. So, we can be better. But I think if we keep persevering with this in the community, in this discussion, we hopefully will get to a point where those conversations around a dinner table and a round of a coffee are more open.
Yeah, I think that in past also I mentioned this in a couple of my podcasts. I think sometimes we men being men, like we are very hesitant to say because we're tough, like yeah, I'm a father, brother, husband, and everything, and I'm the one who's looking after everybody. How
Yeah.
can I be the weakest one by speaking up?
Yeah.
And but I think it's more men needs to realize that by speaking up, you're not going weak. You're actually more stronger because just to say that word
Yeah.
is really strong
Yeah.
to be, and I think that's what more men really needs to understand, that no one will judge you by saying that I'm not okay.
Yeah. It as you was talking about it, something that's really big for us is community. So that community is your friendship group. And I'm really fortunate that, I've got some really good mates, but I've got a little community that we go to this gym most mornings, and we every Saturday we go on for a walk or something and have breakfast. Now, those mates now, if someone goes, "Oh, hey, how are you going?" So if they're off colour or they're not right, they'll openly say, "Yeah, not going great."
Yeah.
And we don't chastise them. We don't think otherwise of it. But we've been able to create an environment that it's easier for it's normalised for someone to say, "Yeah, I'm not going great."
Yeah.
Okay, why?
Yeah.
And that's brilliant.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's not common.
Yeah. So Fraser Coast Mates. So Fraser Coast Mates is predominantly helping people for counseling.
Look, it's one of our functions, but we're very focused on the local community and more conversations, normalizing those conversations, and just that. I mean, what does mental health awareness mean? And mental health awareness is about better educating, better learning, and we bring in speakers all the time if we can, who share their life experiences, their experience. That helps. So it's a multifaceted approach that if the dream is it will make Fraser Coast, along with a lot of other organisations, we talk about men's walking groups, women's walking groups, other social groups, making it easier for people to speak up.
Yeah. So in time, as you mentioned earlier, I think we were discussing where you said Fraser Coast Mate has actually evolved in time. And I think it's a very good thing that you mentioned that we have to adjust as the organization gets bigger and bigger. Yes, it's all mental. It started from a friend who had been through that situation, but now the whole idea is helping more men to come and be open up about the problems or issues, or and females. So had you ever thought, do you get a lot of people of like older groups or younger groups under 8? Do you get under 18 kids or anything?
Look, we do. We'll get parents reach out. I mean, there's a few things you have to consider particularly I think if they're under 16, and we're always very conscious to ensure parents are involved with kids at that age about seeking help. And we're very focused on the youth of late. We feel that that's really important, that we address that in a different manner than – and seniors is another group. That common story of someone who's lost their partner of 40 years and they're home alone and they don't want to go out and they withdraw from the community, and what are we doing about reaching out to that seniors community? So, I'd love to see something in place, and maybe it's something that we do, but it's just all those stages of life and generations that you sometimes you take a different approach to each one.
Yeah. Could one conversation save someone's life?
I believe so. Yeah, I do. I do believe so. I mean, I think just having someone open up to you and tell their story is, first of all, it should be a privilege. Secondly, you've gained their trust for them to do that, so that shouldn't be underestimated. And just the impact of watching someone offload something that they've been keeping to themselves or not sharing, and then seeing that impact on them, that I'm confident that has put them on the right path.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about your committee members. Who's the funniest person in Fraser Coast Mates?
It's a hard one to answer because we've got so many characters. Like, we've got Robert Garland, who many will know from his times on the council, and his famous YouTube bird noises. And
oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah, Robert is just an absolute character of the region. It's a hard one. I would hate our committee meetings, while can be very serious and quite robust in the conversation, is that we're lucky we've just got great characters. Yeah.
If Fraser Coast Mates ever had a mascot, what it would be?
Well, this year we did a State of Origin in remembering our fresh friend Jeff, who was it's always around State of Origin time, and he was mad Queenslander. So I think if we had to have a mascot, I think it'd just be like a Queenslander Maroons jersey
thing.
Yeah.
Something.
Yeah, I think so. Something to do with sport,
yeah.
I think.
Yeah. If you could have a dinner with 3 people, alive or not, who would they be?
Good question. Okay, let's put it into 3 pillars. I'd want to be sport. Now, I've had the fortune of having dinner with Lee Matthews with the AFL. Lee Matthews is probably going to be the biggest name ever in AFL's history. He is now. So I've got that one ticked. Music, I'm going to cheat, and I'm going to have 2. I have to have Paul McCartney and Bruce Springsteen.
Oh, yeah?
Yep. And then I'm a mad movie lover.
Yeah.
So Jack Nicholson.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
If that was at a dinner table, I'd be in awe.
Yeah. One question in regards to that, when you took all the celebrity people's name and everything, how do you get all those players and some big speakers?
Yeah.
Like, do you just reach out to them, or do they reach out to you? Or
no, it's interesting how it comes along, and it's one of the, look, I love meeting people who've just achieved so much, and so, our last pink dinner we had Kirk Pengelly and Lane Beachley, and they were just phenomenal. World champion surfer, and Kirk Pengelly. I'm a huge NXS fan, so like I was eyes boggling all night, and then you find out they're great people. And then we had Jonathan Thurston, Lisa Curry was one that I was watching on Australian Story, just tell this tragic story of losing a daughter and the impact on her, and I thought she'd be great. And she was not only fantastic for us as a speaker, but she's become a friend and someone that just loves for Fraser Coast Mates. But the most satisfying thing with that is that they come to our region and fall in love with not only what Fraser Coast Mates is doing, but our community. about how we sort of get behind that cause. So that's probably one of the most satisfying things when we get these people in. Yeah, because I think people have reached that level, and then you find out they're like everybody else, that they've dealt with mental health issues, normalizes a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that helps.
I think you're exactly right. I think when you see someone who's so successful but has been through that journey of what you're going through,
Yeah.
let's say mental health,
Yeah,
gives you a piece of relief saying, at least I can be open about it
yeah,
because they have been through this. So I think there's nothing wrong in me hiding it. I can just go and speak about it.
yeah. I finished the Rafael Nadal documentary on Netflix the other night,
Oh.
and the man suffered anxiety for years. Bruce Springsteen, my musical hero, gets anxiety and suffered depression. And it's like when you think these guys that just do it on the world stage, the impact they've had on so many lives, and yet they're like everybody else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For someone who's never heard of Fraser Coast Mates, what do you actually tell them?
Look, I just say we're a community group that works with the community for a better understanding of mental health, and we're there to support if needed, and that's as simple as that. I mean, look, it's a gift that we can put people through counselling. That is a wonderful thing that we can do. But I've always said probably one of the greatest things we ever happen at his events is someone puts their hands up and say, "I need some help."
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's completely non-for-profit organization.
Yes. Yep. We're fully registered charity, tax deductibility, status, all those things.
I've seen Fraser Coast Mates, a lot of events and all that programs that you do and everything. Who decides on what program should happen?
We do it as a committee. So we're in this midst of we've got our annual Pink Dinner coming up in October. We do around Queensland Mental Health Week. So it's a really important discussion about the content, about what we do. So I mentioned we had Lane Beachley and Kirk Pengelly, which were amazing. But previous year we actually had 3 business leaders in the region talk their stories, and that was really powerful. So we'll have a good discussion around the committee.
Do you change it every year, or do you certain programs are there every year?
Look, the golf days and the ladies' luncheon are generally sort of the format's the same. We just like to change the theme around it. So the golfers this year wore State of Origin jerseys, still in pink. The previous year, one of the years we had an Indigenous design. One of our committee members is an Indigenous leader, great artist, and we got him to design our shirt. So we like to add a bit of a theme to it each year, just to sort of something different.
Yeah. No. Why pink?
Because Jeff would always wear a pink shirt on the golf course.
Oh, so that's
that's where we adopted pink straight away. So when Jeff's wife Kim approached us about the 1-year anniversary and having a golf day and getting some mates together, we said, let's wear pink shirts. He wears his collar. He used to wear his collar up.
Yeah.
So, we thought we'd get about 50 odd guys to come together, or there was 70. And so we got the pink shirts. And then we sort of, over the years, we started to develop the pink a little bit more with the design. But I don't know, pink's just always been that color because it's like that. It's not masculine for men to wear pink, but Jeff didn't care. Yeah. And so it's a good color for us.
Is Fraser Coast Mate is funded by council?
No. They've been a great supporter from day one. In fact, we started a publication with them called The Little Black Book that's still going today, and they've always been very supportive of any events or anything that we try and do. But no, and we don't typically look for government grants. We're totally funded by our fundraising efforts. we've been fortunate along the way with a couple of grants that come away, which we've put some initiatives into the community with some things. But no, we're very fortunate. We're essentially self-funded.
Yeah. Who's the best fundraiser in your group?
Yeah, I couldn't. I mean, look, we've got some great skills on our committee. I mean, we got financial planners, we got smart business people. I think that combination of all those brains makes it work for us. Yeah.
How important is mateship in today's world?
I value it highly, and that's one of the great things about where we got the name Fraser Coast Mates. It was about mateship. It was about that, that old Australian tradition of mateship. And, even if you sort of look into the history of war, and that term digger sort of has that connection with mates. So for me personally, my best mate's someone who I've been mates with for 50 years, and I value it. It's just the most important friendship I've got. And so I highly value the mates I have. I don't have to have hundreds. I just need those ones that you can talk to.
Yeah. One true moment where you actually felt that you really changed someone's life.
Look, we see. I see it on the golf course. Yeah, that's as in our golf days are really powerful. We have this exercise at the end of the round that everyone in that group, there's generally 9 or 10, mostly guys, and we still have a few ladies playing, which is great, that they have to, in 1 minute, explain their relationship with mental health. So it can be all sorts of stories, and I've heard some unbelievable stories, but generally at the end of the day, I'm running around picking up signs and things like that, and I come across men just hugging each other on the green. They're in tears, powerful conversations. That's one of the most impactful things I see. Yeah.
If someone is watching this right now and they're thinking, nobody would miss me, what would you say directly to them?
Yeah, it's a tough one, isn't it, when you get something like that? But I've seen the devastation it leaves families behind with this sort of thing. And I've never understood why that isn't at the core of convincing people otherwise, of just that devastation. It's awful. It's like, so if somebody is thinking it's a solution, then they're not thinking straight. And that's the thing I've learned with mental health, and I suppose that connection to suicide is that then they're not thinking straight. Yeah. So you've somehow got to find them to convince them of what's important to them in their lives. Yeah. And refine that, I suppose. Yeah.
What is the next for Fraser Coast Mates?
It's a good question, because we just each year we just try and how do we do better?
Yeah.
How do we get this community to embrace us, listen to us? So we're always looking for ideas. Love to collaborate. Love to work with other groups. There's so many. When we started 10 years ago, there wasn't a lot of similar groups, and now I can identify the walking groups. There's always been social groups, but now I really truly understand the importance of that social environment for the mental health. So we've all got a common goal, and that is for people to be happy and have a better lifestyle. And I'm not sure where that takes us. Yeah.
So do you have ever in your committee or anything have thought that let's go outside Harvey Bay or Fraser Coast and go to Sunny Coast, or helping in different areas, or you like to focus more locally?
we've certainly had conversations with other regions. I once had a mayor of an Adelaide council contact me, asked me about the Little Black Book and asked about the organisation. We get that. The short answer to that question is we don't have the time to do other communities, but we would love to see more and more of them. And there are. Look, I'm sure there's like-minded, like similar goals, and they're all operating in other communities. But I think we're just really fortunate in the Fraser Coast. We just have a great community that gets behind good causes.
Yeah. What gives you hope when work gets emotionally heavy?
You know, before I had kids, I never understood why people had photos of their kids at work.
Yeah.
And then when I had kids, I now realise why you have photos of your kids at work.
Exactly right.
Yeah. So when you're having tough days and you're wondering why you're putting up with stuff, or just think, why am I doing this? Photos of your kids and your family is a good way to remind you of why you're doing it.
Yeah, that's right. Finally, what message would you like every person in Fraser Coast to hear today?
That simple checking in with somebody can save someone's life. And we all have busy lives, and I am probably one of the most guilty people at this, that that mate you haven't checked in for a while, and possibly is the one you should be. So, you know, I work for a big media organisation, and one of the best advices I got from a manager is, he said, you know, make a goal that every day you actually ask someone how are they and how their family are, and just seeing how they are generally. Do that every day, once a day. And of course I made that mistake, and I didn't as often, but you know, I've always thought about that a lot particularly since being on this mental health journey, that if I did that every day, to just check in with someone I haven't checked in for a while, just to see how they were. So imagine if over 100,000 people in the Fraser Coast community did that every day. We'd just have such a great community, wouldn't we?
You're exactly right.
Yeah.
And I think it's the same thing, you know, like it's one person taking that initiative and asking the next person, and next person taking initiative, and it just, you realize that along the line you're saving somebody.
Yeah, because I've heard stories of where you checked in with somebody and they go, that really meant a lot to me.
Yeah.
You know, I remember a guy I see around the golf club, and he was going through cancer, and I was sitting there one day and I just decided to send a text because I knew he had some treatment going on, and didn't think nothing of it. And a month later I saw him at the golf club, and he said to me, he said, Boz, he said, that really made my day. And I thought, me texting it, like, gosh, you know, but it reminded me the power of just that simple check-in. Can really make someone's day. And if we were a community like that, it'd be great.
Yeah. Well, Darren, you and your committee are doing exceptional work in Harvey Bay.
Thank you.
And we are privileged to have you on the show to share your story and the organization. They're doing a phenomenal work.
Yeah.
And that's what Studio 9 exists, guys. So we are sharing stories of some amazing people in our community who do some phenomenal work, you know, and thank you so much for coming to the podcast.
Oh, it's great. No, thank you.
Thanks, Darren. Appreciate
Enjoyed it.